What is up, everybody? I'm Cosmo, and today we're gonna have a race between TGH and Chaikitty. You guys want to introduce?
Yo, what's up? I'm TGH.
Hey, I'm Chaikitty.
So, I got a question for Chaikitty here. What do you think about with TGH having a faster time than you? Do you think that you can still?
Well, so the way I see it, yeah, TGH, his time is a little over 2 minutes faster than mine, but the difference is, a little bit more severe, I suppose, because he has a world record. He is much more consistent in general than I am. That being said, it is hypothetically possible that I win if somehow I was able to pull off a run without dying. I use it fast enough strategies that is theoretically possible. But I'm just going to have fun with this match and just play the best I can either way.
Yeah, it's definitely a good mindset to have. And TGH, what do you think? Do you think Chaikitty will beat you?
Well, I think this is a game where anything can happen. I'm assuming Chaikitty is also going to do the 5B route. Considering
yes, that's correct.
Yeah, considering he's done it in I think both your matches so far.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, or all four of the matches you've played so far. Yeah, so it's in 5B is definitely a riskier route to take. And that can just swing momentum more violently in one position or the other. So, so it definitely anything can happen for sure.
Okay, and a question for both runners is there anything recently that you've been having trouble with that you think might be a problem?
Not necessarily. Like I think the thing I've been having the most trouble with is the most recent skip found in 5B, but that's just something I'm gonna have to work on to get consistent. But it's pretty much a maximum of like 12 seconds lost if you fail it, so it's not that bad, and it's slightly more consistent in the corner boost, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I feel similarly about that, but also just the rest of 5B. I only recently have kind of put that into my runs in general, so it's not my best level currently. It saves time to my 5A, but that's still something that I would say I'm a little worried about. Like maybe I might mess that up or do really well. It could really go one way or the other.
Yeah, definitely. 5B is pretty tough. And Chaikitty, do you think your summit's gonna be all right?
Yeah, I'm not known for having the best ends to my run when it comes to summit, but I think I've been practicing the first few sections of summit a lot more lately. That's what's been giving me the most trouble. So hopefully that practice will pay off. We'll see. And yeah, I am still going to skip a bunch of flags on 3000 meter.
Yeah, sounds good. I don't really have any other questions. If you guys want to communicate before the race.
Yeah, I think I'm good to go.
Yep.
Good luck, have fun, Chai.
Thanks, you as well.
Yeah, dude, let's have fun.
Yeah.
Good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
I wish
and
you well.
thank you for commentating as well.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Thanks a lot.
All right. Hopping in to help with commentary here is Troy.
Hello.
You ready to commentate this race?
Yes, I am. I apologize for not being available for a second there.
No worries.
Triple Bingo tournament got my attention. Okay, so yeah, excited about this. I guess TGH and Chai are still waiting on the file name.
Yeah, it appears so.
So like, what did I miss really? I mean, I know that it was just the interviews, but
We kind of talked about how they're gonna do 5B, and I think T is saying there was something in 5B. He's gonna lose. He's having trouble with the skip, the new discovery that they found. And Chaikitty said he's gonna try his best on Summit because he's not known for his finishes.
okay. So the file name generation has been done, and we are going to be using that so that we can make sure that this is a legitimate run and it's happening right now and not yesterday or something. Who knows?
So it looks like both runners are ready to go. So they should be starting pretty soon.
Yep, countdown just happened in chat, and so you can see it starting. This is a prologue. We jump. TGH is currently jumping better.
TGA is currently on world record pace.
Look at those jumps. Top level jumps.
Well, Mather took a death, so that's a plus,
Yes.
which does happen sometimes.
Yeah, I have noticed that now that I started doing this stuff. It's like, oh, right, when you're jumping, like every time you hit the ground, you sometimes like mismeasure some things and accidentally just jump into the void.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying when that happens, and it sucks they can't reset either. It's like Chaikitty had a little trouble going up there.
Yep, so into chapter 1 now, which has a lot of fun movement tactics in it. It's really one of the first chapters where it's really like there's a huge reasoning of like when you come into this game and you're like, wow, this movement is very satisfying to perform. Because chapter 1, if you do it correctly, it just flows so smoothly.
Yeah, a really fast chapter 1 can look really nice, and it feels really nice. Looks like both of them are having a pretty good chapter 1.
Yep. TGH getting a 102, chapter 1. And Chaikitty with a 110.
Yeah, and although Tej has lead right now, that can definitely change throughout the run.
Moving into chapter 2 now, we're just gonna start this thing up and activate these dream blocks that allow us to dash through them. I don't know how much of that sentence got through.
I heard all of it.
Cool. Okay.
And what's cool with these dream blocks is every time you come out of one, you get your dash back. So you'll see runners use that a lot today.
And all through this, I'm just constantly seeing strats, and I'm just like, why can't I do these?
Yeah, some of these, man, like I run this game, but there's some of them that they're so hard to get.
Yeah, a lot of things that are hard to get consistent at, so.
Yeah, and TGH, he makes the game look easy, but he's been playing the game
It's not.
since release. He has
Yeah.
hundreds of hours. And this awake section, it actually is one of the most difficult parts of movement in the. There's a lot of mishaps that can happen that can slow you down a lot, and it's actually pretty.
It's a lot of hypers, ultras, and bunny hops.
And Tej on
Bunny-
really good pace coming out of chapter 2.
Bunny hops are something I don't feel like gets mentioned enough, actually. It's because it is a way to keep the momentum going a little bit. It does, like, decay the momentum, like, a slight bit, but you still maintain a good amount of it, so it allows you to, like, control your height while still moving forward, and it's used a lot in that awake section.
Yeah, definitely.
So now into chapter 3, the Celestial Resort. Gotta just avoid some dust bunnies.
The first section is definitely very much cycle based.
Absolutely. And still doing that wave dash strategy on that screen, which is so crazy.
Chaikitty struggling a little bit on this screen, but he makes it through nice and smooth.
Oh, missing that coin there from Chaikitty's side. Had to go back for it.
Yeah, he did react fast enough to save that. That death would be a little costly. I wonder if Tej will go for the YOLO demo dash.
I don't. Oh, you mean one without getting the respawn?
Yeah, without the
Point.
checkpoint. Because I know
'Cause
he's
I
been doing it in his runs.
Yeah, he seems to only go for it if like he feels that he could potentially get IL in that chapter. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen it several. Like, I've seen it in runs where like he'll be like, "I am very close." Like, I am very close to actually getting the IL. Like TJ's saying that to himself, so he'd be like, well, so if I do this, it's not going to cost too much time to just try to do it and then fail it and then go for it the normal way.
Yeah, that makes sense. And T seems to have pretty good mindset, so I think knowing T, she might just go for the checkpoint just to be safe.
Right, yeah, TJ doesn't tend to like get cocky with this sort of play. Like he knows that it's absolutely better to not put a lot of risk into these sort of runs, especially like in a race scenario. It's really not ideal to be doing things like that.
And Chaikitty finishing up big mess here. Or huge mess, sorry.
And yet again, despite everything we just said, he goes for it without the setup. Oh, well, with the setup, but without the checkpoint, rather.
Does get a second try, but after the death, yeah, it's still pretty costly. And TJ is starting up the Oshiro fight here.
And here's Chaikitty's demo dash. Ooh. It's gonna take a few tries for Chaikitty, unfortunately. Gets him the third one.
I believe that does break even, right?
Yes, it does still save time. I believe it's 5 tries, but 3 is definitely within the range.
TGH finishing Chapter 3 on really good pace. Relatively pretty good Chapter 3. As Chaikitty comes up on the end of it right here with the last 3 rooms.
And TGH has been moved on to Golden Ridge, Chapter 4. Where we got some wind, we got some bubbles, and we got some clouds. The bubbles you dash, the clouds are trampolines, the wind is wind. And a lot of the times I'm just mesmerized by movement. Like, it happens.
Yeah, and we're gonna see this cool movement set up from TGH called Box Skip. And he just totally, I think it saves, how much time? Like 3 seconds? For that that skip that TGH just did?
Compared to what?
If he had done like a extended hyper with the box.
I'm trying to, I don't know of any term of something being called a box skip.
Or box jump, I think it's called. It's
I just know of auto scroll. I just know of it being called auto scroller skip.
Yeah.
Or an auto scroller skip. Either way, I don't really know of its time comparison, so I'm sorry about that.
No worries, no worries.
Okay, Chaikitty setting up for their auto scroller skip, gets that pretty easily. And like this chapter in general is a lot of like just trying as much as you can to like set up things that you can like work against the wind as much as possible. Because a lot of the time you got wind moving opposite of the direction that you want to go, and it results in you having to do a lot of hypers and ultras so that you can keep having momentum forward.
Yeah, and you may have seen those snowballs that TGH was bouncing on, and those snowballs are kind of like Oshiro, but they come from the opposite direction, and they don't really give you they can lead to some sticky situations.
Really nice recovery from Chaikitty, and just as I say that, Chaikitty dies twice, but it's fine. The they weren't able to get on the right wall a couple screens ago, so they just waited for a disappearing block to come back while climbing to a different wall.
Yeah, it was definitely a really good recovery.
And now TGH in Chapter 5, the Mirror Temple, which involves red bubbles now, which move until they hit a wall.
You can also dash out of them as well, but that will use your dash.
Yes, it will. And in a rarity, TGH has actually failed the yeet, but is going for 5B, so Area is going for that cassette.
And just as Chaikitty is starting Chapter 5, TGH will be starting 5. And if
Yes.
TGH does this right, he can save around 10 to 15 seconds in 5B compared to finishing.
Yeah, it's still something that TGH doesn't implement in any of his runs, really, from what I can tell. He knows it, but it's just something that he's like been more consistent in like just doing a regular all A route that he just doesn't do it. Which I find crazy, considering I'm like, well, if it could save a good 10 seconds potentially. Wait, what? What just happened?
He missed the skip.
Oh,
yeah.
wait, he might have... Yeah, he didn't maintain a dash at the end here. What do you...
There he goes, he got it.
Oh!
There's a 5-frame window where you can press jump, and you won't land on the platform, you'll fall back.
I was more familiar with the... Is that a new way of doing that room? Because I'm more familiar with the idea of doing a corner boost off the top of that spike, off the type of that corner with the spike.
They found that skip, I think it was on Thursday or Friday, and what they do is they just trick the game into thinking that when they retry, they go back to that corner or at the end on the other side, instead of having to do a really inconsistent corner boost.
Oh. So, nice.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's a lot easier, and that makes it probably a reasoning for TG to actually start going for it now, because I guess he just wasn't consistent on that corner boost a lot of the time.
Yeah, that corner boost was really consistent, I think, for everybody, because it's so precise. Okay, Chaikitty misses while returning to the map.
So you basically have to retry, during the transition, kind of.
Well, you'll see, you get up there in the transition, but instead of going up to the next screen, you press jump along the wall so that you don't actually go to the next screen. You fall back down, and he misses it. You'll see him do it if he hits it correctly. There he goes.
It's kind of cool.
Definitely more consistent than the corner boost.
Yeah, that's something that I feel might actually end up being patched out, because it's kind of
It abuses the death.
It
At the same
abuses the
time,
death, but it's
I
like
don't think-
it abuses almost like a coding error of like why does this allow me to respawn here when I am nowhere near that point?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like they're kind of abusing a death there, but at the same time, I think the developers would add a different platform, and then you'd respawn there instead if they were to patch it, because you would have to change a game mechanic entirely to patch that without a patch.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so TJ's now in chapter 6. Good leg skip. And really, the hard part of 5B is after you get that skip anyway.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot.
This whole section with the Seekers. Sorry, Cosmo.
No worries. The Seekers can be definitely frustrating to deal with, especially for beginning runners. As you see there, it wasn't really doing what Chaikitty wanted it to. And they basically kind of move around sporadically sometimes, even though it is not RNG at all.
Right, it's more of just the idea of like how tight your movement has to be here. Like in 5A, yes, you are like manipulating Seekers as well, but like you have more freedom with it. There's a lot more room for error in 5A, where you can kind of just like, oh, I messed up the Seeker movement a little bit. But then here, especially like if you look in this tournament here, there's like such a small area for these Seekers that you end up having to, like, if you mess up, the Seeker is like right in your face, and there's nothing you can do about that. Like,
yeah, there's that one long Seeker room that Chaikitty just came out of. That one death will cost you a lot of time, and there's not like very little room for recovery in that room.
and it's always funny that the last room that they say that Theo says is impossible is a room that we're just like, oh, okay, whatever. That is a great thing to show off.
I'm surprised you went for that because it's pretty precise. I've seen him do it on stream before. I didn't think you'd actually go for it. Chaikitty, a nice first try leg skip. Oh, and a nice recovery there from Chaikitty.
And smooth battle line boost from TJH.
The movement during the battle line fight is definitely really impressive too. If you watch TJ, a lot of precision and big time loss rooms here. That definitely if he messes up will be very game changing.
And constantly when I'm just watching TGH at this point, it's now me just learning, because I'm just like watching this and like, oh, that's how you do this room. I mean, not to say that he's doing perfect movement in every room right now. I do see like a little bit of wavering and a little like there's no way you're entirely perfect, but he is doing pretty like tight movements and pretty like almost like borderline optimal, pretty much.
Yeah, he's definitely having a really good
battle line. Yeah, at least right now in this battle line section. Okay. TJ now in the second half of the battle line fight. And Chaikitty is about to talk to the old lady.
TJ with a nice strong finish to the battle line fight as he goes in to get his double dash.
Good battle line boost from Chaikitty there. Gets it all the way into the cutscene. And now in this summit.
The interesting thing about Summit 2 is, even though it's only a single chapter, it does make up 1/3 of the.
Yep. Just how it works out. It's a very long chapter involving us re-climbing the mountain.
And it's almost like the movement of this chapter is very different from the other ones because you have an extra dash, so a lot of the layout of the level is just different with how it's.
Yes, there's a lot more areas where, like, it's a lot more places of horizontal movement or larger vertical movement required.
And Chaikitty is entering the second stage of the battle line fight.
Yep, TJ, and now TJ's going into 1,000 meters. And now out of the dream blocks, you can hyper dash out of them, and that is what TJ is currently doing on a lot of these. On all 4 of those dream blocks that just happened in the previous screen, and a couple along those last one, and then this, and a couple on this screen as well. And now 1,500 meters, the pretty much agreed upon by everyone, the hardest part of the run, although 5B may start being an argument at this point.
Definitely.
Like, now that 5B is pretty much, with that strategy, 5B is pretty much definitively in the run, considering how consistent that is. So, yeah. You could argue that that might be the hardest portion now.
A lot of the higher runners are definitely going to be putting that in their runs more often now, for sure. And Chaikitty starting his summit right now as TGH comes out of 1,500 and into 2,000.
So yeah, I didn't even really touch on why that was so hard, but it's basically just a lot of like tight cycles that you have to get through, and if you miss them, you end up with like some really awkward movement.
Yeah, and a lot of the rooms in there are really long too, so a death could cost you up to like 20 seconds.
Yeah, so if you mess up a cycle, you generally just want to wait it out until the cycle comes back. Otherwise, you do end up with that death. And now, oh, damn it. I was just about to explain that TGH is trying to keep that strawberry forever. He loses it. I should clarify that forever is not really a thing in Summit, as that once he were to have gone into 2,500 meters, he would have lost that strawberry automatically. That cutscene is kind of unavoidable.
I do believe TGH got the demo dash on that that block there in the last room of 2000.
That one I believe he can. I don't think I've seen him mess that up yet.
Yeah, I've heard
ever
that
since he started
once you get
implementing it.
Yeah, I heard once you get it consistently, it's pretty much free.
Okay, there's our key skip. 2,500 meters. And we'll be throwing the needle and door skipping soon.
I think at this point in the speedrunning of this game, throwing the needle is definitely a lot harder than door skip.
Oh, so true.
I see throwing the needle definitely mess up a lot more than door skip nowadays.
It's something that I've started to learn as well, and like just I definitely am dying more often on threading the needle than door skip. Like it's just it's certainly something that I see happen. Chaikitty in 1,500 meters. Slightly slower route on that previous screen, but it's still a pretty effective way to move through it. Oh, and good job getting the fastest cycle on that room.
I think looking at TGH's screen, he might be on pace world records, is he?
I'm actually not familiar with what the world record is now, because you did just say it happened this week.
Yeah, he got it 3 days ago, so 29:15, and he entered 3,000 at like just before 27 minutes. So if he gets over like a 2-something 3,000, he definitely. I think he's like.
It is possible, but I'm not sure. Like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'll definitely be close.
Yeah, I've started a new job recently, so I actually haven't had time to watch any streams or any new runs. You know, you leave the Celeste world for 1 week, and the world gets turned upside down apparently, and 5B is in every run now.
Yeah, it's crazy because this game's been it's out for like almost a year now, so they're still finding things pretty consistently. Like not as much as they used to, but there's definitely still strats being found left.
No, just in the last month we've had that new respawn and demo dash. Like, so.
2 changes.
Yeah, 2 very major changes.
I think it was like the week after demo dash was found, there was like even like not as much in the 80% category, but a lot of other categories, they started doing like demo dashes in so many different like B-sides and C.
Yeah, because demo dash is just one of those things that can be implemented everywhere.
Yep, you just
like it's essentially yeah, it was essentially like instead of finding like something that is like a unique thing in like a certain part of a level, we found an entirely new movement tech. Like that is what demo dash is. It's a movement tech. So it was found, and then we were like, oh, okay, so we can use this everywhere whenever we feel like it because it's a movement tech. Anyway, world record not happening today, as we are now at 29:34 at flag number 1. Still not finished.
Yeah, it's still
29:39.
definitely still a really good time from TGH. Any run that is a 29 is definitely really.
Right, absolutely.
It's crazy to think that if he had gotten YOLO set up for Demo Dash and gotten that first try 5B skip, he might have actually world record in that run. Definitely in the higher runs, every mistake matters. As Chaikitty enters 3,000 here, he'll be finishing his run pretty soon.
Yes, Chaikitty will be finishing this out with about a 32 to 33 minute finish. And ultimately, from what I can tell with Chaikitty, the difference in play is really just consistency. It seems that Chaikitty implements all the same strategies that TGH is doing. It's just a matter of consistency.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Chai the other day, and he said if TGH does it, then he's gonna do it. So he definitely does the same strats. He's just not as consistent with TGH.
And there is definitely a certain risk in doing those certain strategies, while at the same time not being consistent at them, because a lot of what you're doing at the high level is stuff that if you're not great at it, you can lose time pretty easily.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of strats that TGH does that if he messes up will cost him a lot of time.
One example being skipping flag 10 right there.
Yeah, going back, and he skips 9 too. So if he dies any point before flag 7, then which he does make it, but that would be a pretty costly.
But I definitely do like Chaikitty's determination that he, despite like all the risk that it involves of going for these high level strategies, still doing them, especially in a race setting as well.
He definitely knows how to keep his calm and continue with his strats in a stressful situation.
Yep, there it is, skipping flag 2. That usually is actually, from what I can tell, unintentional at this point. Like it's, I've heard like pretty much it's a 50-50 shot whether or not you're gonna skip that flag.
Yeah, I see most runners doing a bunny hop there, so sometimes they do get flag 2, sometimes they. As Chaikitty closes out with a 33-30. And shout out to FC Racer for the 1,000 bits also.
Yes, that did happen a little bit ago, but it's certainly appreciated, and will go towards the Celeste pool. Any sort of contributions, as long as you indicate what you want it to go towards, will go towards that pot. Otherwise, you'll just be split evenly among the stuff happening on that channel. about a 4-minute finish time between the two runners.
And the only real difference between them with that caused the time difference was pretty much the deaths. The strategies were all mostly.
Okay, moving into the second race.
Both runners will be taking a breather for about, like, let's say, probably a few more minutes, and then they do have the file names, so when they're ready, they'll get.
Yes, this is one of those games where like it's so intense the whole way through that you don't have any downtime, and so you take the downtime when you get it.
So both runners are ready to go. They do have their files named, so they should be starting up here. It just.
Yep, the countdown has started and ended.
And the runners are off.
Yeah, countdowns are kind of a weird situation in Celeste speedrunning, especially since we go by in-game timers, and the timer doesn't start until you enter the first level. So, even after the countdown starts, you can still kind of just like, you could still just kind of like take that little breather still, and then go in. So it becomes kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, the in-game timer definitely does have some advantages and disadvantages.
Okay, got the wall bounces coming up and leaving us in chapter 1. Bunch of wall bounces. Strategy there. With the like wave dash that you'd then change the direction of. And a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, chapter 1 is one of the most diverse chapters in movement, definitely.
Yeah, and the movement's so densely packed. It is the shortest chapter if you don't include prologue. And it ends up that you do so many, because it's so short, you're just doing so many different movement techniques in so little time, and we're already here on this final screen as we do this, as you end up doing that. Some neutral jumps, essentially. You're doing neutral wall jumps to get up there into a dash at the end. And the two runners are pretty much only a couple seconds ahead of, behind each other, like apart rather. That's the word.
Yeah, usually if we see a break in the runners, it's usually later in the run, in the longer chapters. And these first couple chapters that are pretty short, they're usually pretty close to each other.
Absolutely. Oh, TJ just dying here. Dying twice now on this section before the final room in chapter 2. And those are some pretty costly deaths. It's not the longest screen, but it's still certainly something that you don't want to be messing up on.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the two runners are actually much closer together than they were. And all that time that TGH was able to gain on Chai ended up being eliminated, and we're essentially back to the same gap we were in chapter 1, at the end of chapter 1. And messing up a little bit on the awake section as well. TGH ending up getting a little tripped on some of the walls here.
Both runners still pretty much neck and neck at this point. Movement is pretty much what's just coming down to right now, and a couple deaths here and there that did waste some time, but overall still really close.
And we've had 2 deaths right before even entering Celestial Resort right now. Obviously in the chapter at this point, but I mean like before getting into the hotel. good corner boost strategy from TGH there. I like there are things that I'm seeing that in certain rooms you're just like, oh, that exists.
Yeah, and there was a point where I took a couple month break from running Celeste, and I came back, and it was insane the kind of changes I saw on the run.
Yeah.
Like corner boost, people started using that like everywhere, and ultras were so commonly.
And those are things I expect from like run to run, is that little things are implemented, because that's especially like at the top level. You're like when you're trying to improve on a time, a good way to improve on it is to learn a new strategy, learn a new way to make your IL faster. And I mean, like, and that practice alone will allow you to be more consistent in other places as well, because you're just like getting more used to the movement.
Yeah, definitely, and I think both runners have probably put hours in IL practice. I know a lot of top runners, most of their practice is doing ILs and then improving from, and just implementing that in their overall runs.
Yeah, I know that personally. I haven't even all my strat. I keep mentioning that I have started running this game, but in reality, I only still have one complete run. I've just done a bunch of ILs since then.
Yeah, and I think when Babai started running, I think it was Babai, someone, when they started running, before they even did a full run, they got really good IL times, and they put them all together in a run, and their first run was like a 36-minute time. So IL practice definitely does have an impact on how you run the game.
Absolutely, especially since there are like well-defined sections to this game. In certain games, you can't really do that as easily, as like one portion will just flow into the other pretty smoothly. But in this game, it's not so much the case.
Ooh, sorry, TGH does get the first try YOLO strat for demo.
I'm sorry, that is definitely something to interrupt me about. So yeah, this is going to be turning into a very good IL for GGH on Celeste Resort. Like, just getting that alone is something that's very good to have. The demo dash itself saves about 10 to 12 seconds, I believe. But now, without having to set up for that respawn, you're saving like another couple seconds on top of that.
Yeah, and Chaikitty did get a second try demo dash with the setup, so he is also saving some time. And TGH improvising a little bit in that last room, but he does get out of there pretty smooth.
Gets a 4:28. Not the best time from him for the Celestial Resort, but it's still pretty good. I'm not familiar with like every like ILPB out there, so it's hard for me to remember what exactly is good. But I can just like, just from a general understanding of like what happened in that Celestial Resort, it would seem that that would not be like top level for him right there.
Yeah, there was some movement mistakes in his resort, and while it was still a good time, it wasn't very close to his IL, but definitely still good.
Alright, Chaikitty now in the final room. Able to get out of there. And so there's about a 30-second gap between the two players at this point. Okay. Chaikitty going through the wall bounce. More wall bounces going on in the Golden Ridge. TGH moving through, getting these bubbles. And moving into the harsh wind section where we got the snowballs back. And it's very important that during this section you are keeping that momentum forward.
Yeah, and any point in any of these next rooms, if TJH does lose momentum, it does change where the snowballs will be any further point in the room, so it can be very difficult to keep up after you lose momentum.
Yeah, it's a similar idea to the end of Chapter 3, where if you mess up, your cycles end up just being in really weird spots. And so you just end up with a screen that can, in some ways, look completely different from what you're used to.
TG is getting a really good Chapter 4 there with no deaths. As Chaikitty enters the harsh wind section. Sorry to interrupt you, sorry.
No, you're fine. My sentence turned into a yawn, so it was actually good timing for you.
Really nice.
Oh!
Finish from Chaikitty as well. Oh, he missed
Missing, yes, another miss on the yeet, which is something I don't like. Like, that's something you don't want to be seeing out of a runner like TGH, ending up missing yeet twice. Not something that happens.
It's definitely frustrating to miss, especially I can imagine TGH being a little frustrated with that.
I'm sure it's also something that he just, at this point, with the amount of times that he's played this game, that it's like something that just kind of like, I'll get over it. I just kind of like move on. Speedrunning takes a certain amount of patience, and so something like that is like, eventually you're just not gonna mind it too much. So once again, through 5B, so we'll get to see this new strategy once again.
Ooh, Chaikitty landing the yeet with the corner group.
And gets it on the first try there. Good job. Won't have to go back into the room. I won't have to go back into the load out of the chapter and back in. So just smoothly moving through 5B at this point.
Yeah, definitely well done for TGH. Chaikitty is entering 5B.
And now I'm just watching TGH as I'm gonna be entering the Seeker section of 5B, which, as mentioned before, is a much tighter sequence than the 5A Seeker section. So it's a lot more of making sure that you get your movement exactly right and can trigger Seekers to pick up coins and be ready for you to use their shockwaves to your advantage as well, which is something that's not even done anywhere in 5A.
And TGH is on really good pace right now for his 5B.
Yeah, crazy smooth move going on right now. As I say that, messes up slightly with that Seeker. Third and fourth Seeker in this room did much better on. And now on the final room for the musical section. In a rhythm-based room.
I do believe that is a deathless 5B for Tej, other than the retry.
I think you're right.
I mean, TGH is on extremely good pace right now. Yeah,
And indeed it was! Wow!
super impressive 5B from TGH, as Chaikitty does come in to finish his.
Yeah, T is just fresh out of getting that world record 3 days ago, so that makes sense that he's still in that mode, but I mean, you still lose the mentality a little bit after you get it, but TJ's clearly showing that he's maintained that mindset. Chaikitty moving smoothly through 5B as well. Has about has 3 rooms left, including the one just on right now. Oh, and misses the springboard with Theo. So yeah, you gotta make sure that you hit the springboard, at least that first one. The second one, not so much. You can kind of just carry momentum forward.
And Chaikitty coming out of 5B with a really good time, with only 2 unintentional deaths.
Oh! TJ's taking deaths on this bumper room. This room could be kind of annoying as bumpers are always the bane of a lot of speedrunners' existence in Celeste, as they kind of have a slight RNG mechanic to them.
Yeah, they're actually, if you look closely, so they're always constantly moving, and they're very sensitive to where you land on them, so any slight off measure with how you hit them can definitely affect where you're launched to and what you're... And I did see, forgot to mention, Chaikitty did get the first try lane skill.
And now into the battle line boost. Looking good, gets it into the cutscene. Good job. And now just gotta keep the movement going through the battle line section. And I feel like a death in any of battle line kind of throws you off entirely. Because like you kind of want to have this smooth movement through the whole thing, as Battleline kind of just is manipulating the world around her and the projectiles and lasers happening at the same time.
And I'm looking at TGH's pace compared to his world record that he got 3 days ago. And it does look like he is pretty close to a world record if he plays consistently for the rest of this. It's definitely a possibility.
Right, and that's not something I really can like even look at until like the summit, especially in race scenarios, just because it's more about like just making sure that you're not doing anything too costly that you're allowing your opponent to catch up.
Yeah.
I'm certainly something to look out for, as it is always cool to have that done, especially in a race scenario like this.
And TGH is entering the last room of the battle line fight, and should be having a huge finish here. So it's not
Yep, and there it is. That smooth finish. TGH Chapter 6 goes down smooth. Insert beer sponsor here or something. I don't know.
TGH is 5 seconds ahead of his world record right now.
Damn. And we are going to the summit.
So if he does get another second ahead, he will be on pace for a 29 OX, which will be the first one ever.
Now you're just getting way too excited. Like, just one step at a time here.
And Chaikitty is finishing up his Chapter 6. He is in the second to last room of Battle Line fight, and he in his double dash pre. TJ's taking 2 deaths here. 3.
Yeah, that is a very risky strategy to do, and it's something that was pretty much necessary at this point to get done correctly. So, I mean, now looking pretty much, I'd say, like on par with his world record. If what you're saying is true of him being that 5 seconds ahead, that would have lost about 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's definitely getting pretty tight here. And Chaikitty is starting his summit. Yeah.
And
oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I can really tell that in every run at this point that TG is consistently just trying to go for a world record again and again. Like continuously doing the riskiest strategies on purpose because they know that they can get it again, right? Like I honestly, I feel like TJ might just like do another, like be trying to fight for a 29 OX very soon again. Because like just like how he fought for a 29 1x, and all these things. Like I can
That's
see it
just
in
what
his
TJ
play right
does.
now. That is what he does, but I also see it in his play right now. Like I remember him saying before this like consistent strat that 5B happened, of when he got the first 29 1x, saying like I don't really see how I could get this faster, and then that gets discovered, and so now he's at this point where it's not quite. He still has like a few more seconds to gain to get like an optimal world record. And now time to see how long we can maintain the strawberry. Doing pretty good with it so far.
Ooh, does lose it there. But Chaikitty is entering, I believe, yeah, 1500. Which, as for before, is behind 5B, arguably the most difficult part of the.
Yep, demo dash at the end of 2,000 meters again. Don't know where else. It's also something that, like, going for it is not costly at all. Like, if you fail it, you just end up grabbing the block. And then you can just continue on like normal.
Yeah, there's no real risk to it unless you go too high into the spikes, but I mean, if you're pretty much prepared for it, you know, like, where to go, and it's pretty.
Through the end of 2,500, and we'll be entering 3,000 at 26:45.
Unfortunately, that is 10 seconds behind his world record. And Chaikitty getting the demo dash on the end of 2000 as well.
So yeah, this is just looking to be another 29-minute run. Which isn't something to scoff at, but
Definitely still a really good pace.
and Chaikitty's still putting up a good fight too, as I'm expecting that Chaikitty will actually be in 3,000 meters by the time that TGH finishes, which by any standard is always a good idea. Is like always a good, shows that you're on good pace if you're able to be in the same section by the time TGH would finish.
Yeah, it's definitely extremely impressive, and I think Chaikitty might get pace PB here as well.
So yeah, entering 3,000, about 28, like 36, 35, somewhere around there. Okay, on flag number 3, and soon to be entering flag number 2 at 29:20.
TGH finishing with a 29:38, so then really incredible. And that does place TGH as the winner of round 3 for against Chaikitty, as Chaikitty is hitting flag 12. So Chaikitty definitely, definitely had a competition against TGH.
And Chaikitty now on flag number 6. And still at a pretty good pace. I'm actually not familiar with what Chaikitty's PB is, but
I don't think you can PB actually at this point, but I do believe it's like a 31 something. I can't.
so it'll be fairly close to his PB then.
He has a 31-21, so he actually he's gonna PB in here.
Unless he dies like twice. So yeah, PBing by 1 second.
A PB's a PB.
Yep. And it looks like TGH just chose to enter at the good timing of Chaikitty finishing right now. So.
Yeah,
How you
TG,
doing?
nice job, Tej.
Yo, thank you guys.
And yeah, well done. Getting 2 sub-30s in races in a row.
Yo, how's it going, Chai?
Hey.
GG. Nice
Yo,
PB,
Chai.
by the way.
GG,
So that was
congrats.
that was a PB for me.
Yeah, by
Oh man.
Yo, how's it going, Chai?
by less than a second.
GG.
Yeah, so honestly, like
Nice
Yo,
PB,
Chai.
by the way.
I
GG,
think
congrats.
between City, Sight, and Ridge, I had lost
Yeah.
like almost a full minute. And then like I just proceeded to play like super well. Like I had a really clean Ridge.
And your
And then
5B
I
was
got
really
one of
low.
my best times ever on 5B also. So I definitely golded there by quite a bit.
And also,
And then yeah,
TG,
like yeah.
TGH,
Man.
you had a really good 5B we saw there.
Yeah, I think I had. I don't remember what the tape grab was. I know I missed the yeet in 5A, but I got the fast cycle on the tape grab, so that was cool. But the 5B itself was 230 flat, so that was pretty decent for me, for sure. It's only 1 second off the best I've done. I think
Isn't that a world
probably,
record too?
I think technically yes. I think I think it was probably equivalent to like a 350-ish 5A, which was very nice. I was pleasantly surprised by that one.
Yeah, and looking at the leaderboard, that is technically a 1 second world record. And I noticed too, out of 6A, you were on pace to world record there.
Yeah, about that summit though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to string a run together well enough to PB for me right now, but it's definitely acceptable for a race. But yeah, that
Yes.
summit kind of hurt a little bit.
It was an incredible run nonetheless, and Summit is definitely a very difficult chapter and a long one too.
Yeah, it wouldn't really have mattered that much to me since I came out of Old Site like 14 seconds behind my PB. I think I died twice on Old Site, so the fact that I was able to bring that back to like pretty much be on PB pace at that point was nice for me.
Okay. And I've actually been personally, I've been away from the scene for about a week, so I was not aware of that new strategy in 5B, making it a more consistent and like more viable strategy to put into routes. So I'm now like kind of thinking like, do you consider like 1500 meters to be the hardest portion of the run still, with 5B now definitively in the run?
That funny you mentioned that. I think 500 meters is overtaking 1500 right now for the hardest part of the run for me.
I saw that.
Yeah, the stuff that I do now in 500 is like, yeah, it's not the easiest for me yet, but
Right, I definitely could
yeah,
see that.
It's definitely like 5B is hard, but it's not, it's not that hard once you get past the demo fall. So it's like
Yeah.
it's okay. It's big enough of a time gain where like I will never consider not doing 5B anymore. With that consistency of that strat, but it's I don't think it's the hardest part of the run, but it's close, but it's not the hardest part.
Yeah, especially the Theo section in 5B is also a lot easier than the 5A Theo section for sure.
I agree with that one. Yeah, I agree that 5B Theo is easier than 5A Theo.
5A Theo is like super fun though.
Yeah, despite the clearly impossible
harder.
room.
Yeah.
It's definitely easier.
Yeah, I just from the start of 5B being implemented, I was so happy just because we get to see so much better Theo quotes.
Even if he does block the button from sight with his dialogue box on the gauntlet room, the 4-section room, his text box actually like blocks the button on the ceiling, which is a little bit annoying, but
yeah, that room is definitely a tough one nonetheless, even if
that's probably the hardest Theo room.
So congratulations TJH for moving on to round 4, and Chaikitty, congratulations on the PB.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, I know I'll definitely be practicing a lot more resort now.
And also, thank both of you guys for the amazing race. It was definitely very fun to watch and commentate.
Absolutely, thank you guys for guys again for commentating as well.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so that about does it for this race here. I'm actually not. Now it's look. I'm actually leaderboards right here. What am I doing? Not leaderboard, bracket. So this was the second round 3 race that's happened so far. And so there'll be other ones. And I believe the next one is scheduled to be on Friday at 3 p.m. But on this channel, on Speedrun, we will have more Mario Kart Double Dash races happening, and there'll be 3 back-to-back, actually starting at 8. So stick around. I think we'll be going into transition to music.